We're told pretty much our entire lives that the goal is to be happy. But what if that's a trap? Today, we're diving into a book that was born from some of the worst suffering imaginable, and it offers a totally different path. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And it all starts with a question that it turns out is way more important to most of us than money. Get this. A study from Johns Hopkins asked almost 8,000 students what they considered most important. And the results are, well, they're pretty stunning. A whopping 78% said their number one priority was finding a purpose. Now compare that to just 16% who said making a lot of money. So this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. This is a real, fundamental human drive. We are all, it seems, looking for our why.
Okay, but that opens up a much, much tougher question. What happens when the suffering is so overwhelming that it feels like it just erases any possibility of meaning? This is the very question a psychiatrist named Viktor Frankl was forced to answer, not in some theory, but in the hellscape of a Nazi concentration camp. When everything you have is taken away, what's actually left?
And this brings us to Frankl's first huge counterintuitive idea, what he calls the happiness trap. He suggests that maybe, just maybe, we're all chasing the wrong thing. We think the goal is happiness, but what if happiness isn't the goal at all? What if it's just a byproduct of something else, something much deeper?
At the time, psychology was all about Freud's will to pleasure or Adler's will to power. But Frankl came along and said, no, you're missing the main thing. He argued our primary drive, the thing that gets us out of bed, is a will to meaning. It's having a reason why we're here that lets us endure almost anyhow.
And this is what makes his work so powerful, so unforgettable. These weren't just theories he dreamed up in a cozy office. These were truths he discovered in what he called a living laboratory, Auschwitz. This is where he saw firsthand what happens when human beings are pushed to their absolute breaking limit. So to really understand his insights, we have to go there, into that crucible. We need to try and grasp what it was like to be systematically stripped of everything that makes you, well, you. It was a process of total dehumanization. First, your possessions were gone. Then, your identity. Your name was replaced by a number tattooed on your arm. Frankl himself had this manuscript, his entire life's work. He tried to show it to a guard, who just responded with a single curse and threw it away. In that moment, Frankl said his entire former life was struck out. And finally, your future itself was reduced to the finger game, an officer casually pointing left or right, deciding in an instant between life and death.
Seriously, just pause on that for a second. When your past is gone, your work is gone, your name is gone, and any hope for a future is gone, what could possibly be left?
This is Frankl's incredible discovery. The one thing, the only thing that could never be taken away. The very last of the human freedoms, your ability to choose your attitude. Even when you have zero control over your circumstances, you always have control over your inner response. That space is yours.
And that inner choice, that one freedom, was everything. It was often the one thing that separated those who survived from those who gave up. And it all boiled down to having a why, a purpose strong enough to endure the unimaginable how.
Frankl basically adopted this quote from Nietzsche as a motto because he saw it proven true right in front of him, every single day. The how of their lives was literal torture. The only way through it was to have an incredibly powerful why.
So what did those whys look like in practice? Well, they were different for everyone. For some, it was love. Frankl would have these vivid, imaginary conversations with his wife. For others, it was work. He became obsessed with the goal of rewriting his lost book. For one man, it was a responsibility, the knowledge that his child was safe in another country, waiting for him. And sometimes it was about finding meaning in the suffering itself. He tells a story of a dying young woman who found a friend in a single chestnut branch outside her window, telling him it whispered to her, "I am life, eternal life." So after he was liberated, Frankl didn't just write down his story. He took these brutal, hard-won insights and built a whole new approach to psychotherapy, a kind of compass to help anyone navigate their own search for meaning. He called it logotherapy. Logos is just the Greek word for meaning, so it's quite literally meaning therapy. And its whole orientation is different from traditional psychoanalysis. Instead of being retrospective, looking back into your past to dig up the roots of your problems, logotherapy is prospective. It looks to your future. The key question isn't, why am I suffering? It's a completely different question. What meaning can I create from this suffering?
And this is the pivot. This is the sentence you should walk away with. It's a total reversal of how we normally think. He says we have to stop asking what we expect from life and start asking what life expects from us.
Life is the one asking the questions, and our job is to answer, not with words, but with our actions, with the responsibility we choose to take.
So how do we answer? How do we find that meaning? Frankl gives us three main pathways. The first is through achievement, creating something, doing a good deed. The second is through love and beauty, truly experiencing nature or art or connecting deeply with another person. And the third, and maybe the most powerful path, is transformation, the attitude we choose to take when faced with suffering that we simply cannot change.
Ultimately, Frankl's conclusion was that the camps didn't create monsters or heroes, they just revealed what was already there. It was a brutal test that showed the full spectrum of what human beings are capable of, both the absolute worst and the absolute best.
I mean, just listen to that. That quote is just haunting. The very same species that invented the gas chambers is also the species that walked into them with prayer and dignity. The camps didn't decide if a person was a swine or a saint. They just forced each person to finally choose.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? We all have both of those possibilities within us, right now. And it's our decisions, not our conditions, that determine which one we bring to life.
And so, Frankl's work really leaves us with the only question that matters. Life is questioning you, right now, through your own challenges, big and small. So, in the face of whatever it is you're going through, who are you going to choose to be?